That was Charlie Walsh, recorded a short time ago, and now the 10 mile, the final track event on the program, is underway. It's over 64 laps of this velodrome. They've gone about 1.5 laps, and we have a field of 28 in there. The 4 Australians represented are Glen, Clarke, Wayne McCarney, that's Michael Turtur at the front of the bunch at the moment, and Dean Woods in there with a chance to get his 3rd gold medal of the Games. We also have 4 Canadians, 1 from Cayman Islands, 4 Englishmen, 2 from the Isle of Man, 4 from New Zealand, 2 from Northern Ireland, 3 from Scotland, the home country, and 4 from Wales. 104 at the front is Michael McRedmond of New Zealand, swinging up the track, and through comes a Scot to take over.
61 laps to go. It's a sprint finish, so they've got 61 laps to do the damage to the sprinters along the way. These strong riders which the Australians have put in, Clarke, McCarney, Turtur and Woods, none of them are really fast riders with Dean Woods on the front there. So what they have to do is to attack during the race and soften up the sprinters like Steve Paulding from Wales, Michael McRedmond from New Zealand, Murray Steele from New Zealand, and Rastrick, also a New Zealander. They have to attack and upset them, tire them out, and the Australians, as McCarney swings off the front, have got a formidable team. And I think once they settle down a little bit, there'll be plenty of attacks. But there are teams in it. You're supposed to ride by yourself, but I've never seen one yet that the Australians didn't team up against the English and the English team up against the Kiwis, and that's how it goes.
We haven't seen much of them at these games, but that's Gary Hines from the Isle of Man at the front, just swinging up now. And now a Northern Ireland rider goes to the front.
What they must do, the Australians must cover every break. They can't afford to let 2 or 3 teams to get, 2 or 3 nations to get away. And at the moment, there's not Australian in the first 7.
Alistair Irvine, this is, from Northern Ireland, who's had a bit of a break on them, but he was quickly covered by the Scot, Ken Clarke. But that 2-man breakaway didn't last very long, and the bunch is after them and catching. And doing a lot of work is Gary Anderson. Thank goodness he wore those pink gloves so we can recognise him. But I reckon he might be boxing on at the finish. He's had a great Commonwealth Games.
He brought those 2 chaps back very quickly, and he's got plenty of zip in those legs. No wonder after the bag full of medals he's got, he's probably on a real high at the moment. The Kiwis are being very prominent. The English, we haven't seen much of the English. They've been all down the back of the field. So that would perhaps suggest that they are going to make an attack.
This. An Englishman has gone right through underneath from about 20 places back, and a Scot and an Englishman have jumped away. Well, that was daredevil tactics. What a ride that was by the Englishman, who's Gary Coltman, and he just dashed at them from the middle of the pack. And he's keeping on going.
And Adams from Scotland's with him. Coltman and Adams, he made a big attack, and the English hadn't been very prominent, but there's 4 Australians chasing them. The Teeth for Shoot team is there. They're controlling the bunch, and that's one thing the Australians have to worry about, is that everybody else is so afraid of the Australians that they're going to let them do all the work. You can see the 3 Australians there controlling the field, everybody else in groups behind them. And that was a good attack. It strung the field right out, but the Australians really showed the colours there and came through very strongly. They bunch up again, and somebody else might make another attack.
Some of them doing a bit of a stretch to maintain contact. Dean Woods forces through, and once again, there's our mate Anderson from New Zealand.
He's really frisky. He's done a lot of tacking, and he's out to prove something, but to the moment he's wasted a tremendous amount of energy. You can see Woods there swing off the front straight away. He knew that's brains. He knew there was nothing on. Why waste energy on the front like Anderson did? So he just swung off the front and goes back to get a bit of a break in the field. And you can see the Australians completely controlling the front of that bunch. There goes Anderson again. He's got some real energy in those legs, but his attacks aren't really decisive. They're kind of feints, and he takes 2 or 3 away with him. And at the moment, this looks the most promising one. He's got about 50 metres, nearly the length of the straight, and he's still pounding along there with a Canadian and a Welshman with him.
Mark Westwood of Wales. An Englishman and an Australian after them, and the rest of the main bunch just happy to sit back. That's Wayne McCarney representing Australia going up to the leading bunch, which now becomes a bunch of 5 and a break of about 60 metres back to the main bunch.
And this is a good break. They've got the length of the straight, which is about 60 metres on the main group.
So Woods leading Edgar of England in the attempt to catch this breakaway group of 5. And there's another Canadian coming up with them. So we might finish up with 3 Canadians in this leading bunch.
The English and the Canadian aren't helping Woods at all. Woods has to do it all on his own. And he's dropped the Canadian and the Englishman. They're really struggling between the main group and this breakaway group.
Yes, Woods is the only one to make contact, and he'll just come into the picture now to have a bit of a rest. Wayne McCarney taking the bunch along, and there's Dean Woods, already 2 goals at these Commonwealth Games. They're about 40 metres back to a Canadian and an Englishman, not doing much. Not sure whether to push up to the breakaway group or drop back. They're dropping back, and Glen Clarke leads the main bunch with Turtur just a couple of wheels behind him in the main chasing bunch. So
they've got about a half a lap on the main group, but the main group is in 6s and 7s. They're all over the track. Turtur is on the front, slowing them down. Anybody who looks like making a move, Turtur controlling the field, and they could get a lap because the main group has stopped. You can see them there on the end bend, completely stopped, and if they get a lap, it is going to be impossible to call it.
And they're taken up by Steve Paulding of Wales in the attempt to catch this breakaway group, which is 6 riders: Anderson of New Zealand, McCarney Australia, Woods Australia, Walshaw of England, and the Canadians Beauchemin and Vignaduzzi. Anderson, doesn't he like getting out in front of them?
He loves the wind on his forehead. That group that have broken away from the main group is about halfway between the main group and this breakaway group, but they're a matter of 10 metres off the breakaway group of lapping the main bunch. And then we're going to have problems, and so are the officials. Everybody's just about together. Anderson on the front of the group there. He's actually in the main group. There's the bunch in dribs and drabs, and that's the leading group there. So it's going to get quite confusing once all the teams get back together, and we have 4 Canadians, 4 English, 4 Australians, and that's what it is at the moment. So the bunch is all together. There's nobody out in the front. So the ones that gained the lap are McCarney, number 7, Woods, number 154 from Australia, Patrick Beauchemin, number 18 from Canada, Gianni Vignaduzzi, 155 from Canada, John Walshaw from England, 55, and number 96, Gary Anderson from New Zealand.
Ken Clarke from Scotland attempting a sole attempted catch-up here. And interesting, Gordon, 2 of the Kiwis have dropped out. So that doesn't leave much protection for Anderson, although he's already got a lap there. But we thought most of the danger would come from New Zealand. But 107 and 106, Willie Rastrick and Murray Steele have dropped out of the bike race. 3 laps remaining.
And the Australians will be trying to get their team going, and you can see there on the front is Glen Clarke, followed by Michael Turtur, Wayne McCarney and Woods. And there goes the Australian awesome foursome. And as they go down the back straight with 2 laps coming up, Clarke doing a mighty turn. Now Turtur takes over. So the Australia are trying to get 1, 2, 3 perhaps. A Kiwi, Anderson, goes around the outside to try and do some damage. That Scott is not in the race, but Michael Turtur is still leading as they come up the bell with Wayne McCarney by Woods.
And McCarney goes round them. Woods in second place. It's certainly an Australian bike race. Anderson, the New Zealander, still there. What a race. McCarney leads. Woods in second place. Anderson, they're all in this. They're all a lap up. Here's the medal fight. And it's McCarney gets there. Woods second. And Anderson gets his 4th medal at these Commonwealth Games. Wayne McCarney, the gold medalist.
Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous teaming by the Australians. Glen Clarke sacrificed himself. Michael Turtur sacrificed himself. Then Wayne McCarney on the bottom of the track there put his life on the line with 1.5 to go, with Dean Woods, mind you, on the back of him. Anderson in 3rd place, and he held them off. A mighty ride by McCarney. That gives him 2 gold medals, equal with Dean Woods.
Well, fantastic night for Wayne McCarney, the 20-year-old from Adelaide, and there's Michael Turtur, really huffing and puffing as he slows down there, because he did a lot of the work about 2 or 3 laps out.
Wayne McCarney on the front there. Look at his head over the front of that bike. He is giving it everything. He knows Woods is on the wheel and Anderson. Woods is doing the right thing. He is up high, protecting second position. Anderson goes down the back to try to do something, but McCarney gives it everything up here. Woods comes at him. They're going for the gold medal, but Woods misses out, and McCarney wins the 10 mile.
And Dean Woods waving there. That's a victory to Dean Woods, even though he ran second.
He's a tremendous sportsman, and he'd be saying, come on, Australia.
Wayne McCarney, what a night you've had. Dean Woods, gold, and silver so far at these Commonwealth Games. And what about Gary Anderson, the New Zealander? 4 medals.